Susan, how you doing? Paula, hello. Gary, Chad, how are you? Lisa, how you doing? Tony and Rory, Mike, what's up? Kevin, hello. Helen, how you doing? Yeah, it's going to be 70, 77 here tomorrow, they say. Gary, enjoy that snow. This is still too cold for me. I'm moving to Arizona. Helen says it's cold in Buffalo, New York. I bet it is. That's another place I will never move. Anywhere it snows in the wintertime, sorry, not happening. The market is setting records, yeah. Well, Lisa's got a cast on her leg. I can take the cold too. I just choose not to. Let's see, if I've got a choice, warm or cold. Candace, how you doing? Freezing in Texas. It's not a good sign. Warmer in Alaska. Oh, Jesus. She misses the snow? Sorry. Okay, guys. Swampwatch. 11, 12, 19. From Zero Hedge. The Horowitz report will be damning. The FBI and the Department of Justice, it is a fact, it is in the report, that they chose to basically let Hillary off the hook. I mean, it's black and white. And then also, at the same time, they decided they were going to set up Donald Trump. It's like I said, guys, it's black and white. They're saying why this is taking longer than they thought it was going to take. It's because when Horowitz got into this thing, he was originally expecting to basically just be dealing with the Department of Justice and the FBI. And then he gets into it, and he's in a hornet's nest because he's got, the CIA and other elements of our spy agencies that are also involved in this. So it's even though they've got a lot of manpower, there was a lot that they had to go through. This is a target-rich environment for a federal prosecutor. I've been saying this isn't just like a one or a two charge deal. The top players are all going to have multiple treason charges. Probably multiple murder charges. These same people that have committed treason are also guilty of the pedophilia, the satanic pedophilia, the torturing and murder of children. Um, Mike's asking what I think about the court decision to let victims sue manufacturers of AR-15s. First of all, it's not going to fly. And this is just another example, guys, of the distractions they're throwing out there. All of this side stuff, and I've been talking about this, it's all a distraction. Ignore it. President Trump, all this crap, all this Sharia law crap, all this First Amendment crap, all this Second Amendment crap, all of the intrusions by the globalists pushing Agenda 21 locally, all that crap is going to get cleaned up. There's 140,000 sealed indictments. Let that sink in. That's not 140. That's not 14,000. That's 140,000 sealed indictments. Think about that. I mean, the average number of sealed indictments in a year is 3,500. There's 140,000. Think about, and it might be hard for people who don't understand the criminal justice system, but it's not just like this is a parking ticket, right? We're dealing with, for the most part, felonies. That's why there was such a big push to get the courts right, to get these judges confirmed, because they knew that in the right areas with honest judges and honest jury pools, that they could let these cases run through the public court system in certain situations. But for the big guns, they're going to Gitmo. I think just for the elimination of any protest antics, if they were, say, to be housed in a federal penitentiary somewhere in the United States, or a military base somewhere in the United States, that would lead to the potential of that information getting out, and then you'd have the potential of, protest at that facility. It's not going to happen at Gitmo, right? They're out of luck. So I think that's why, the Clintons, the Obama, Clapper, Brennan, they're all going to end up at Gitmo. And we had the, before I go there, there's more and more and more fear porn out there. This is the downside. Well, this is going to happen, whether it's the news we knew from 30 years ago, or what we're seeing where news is going today with YouTube channels and citizen journalists. There's always going to be that element that wants to hype a story to get revenue. In YouTube is to get a click. The more clicks you get, the more you get paid if you're monetized. The more ads your people see, and it all adds up for you. I mean, some of these YouTube channels, I don't know so much about political, but they've got some of these channels. The guys are making over $1 million a year on YouTube. Imagine that. So there's that element where these guys are doing it for the money. And when you see those sensationalized headlines, as you're new in this, you want to kind of look at everything, right? the good thing about the Watchmen is, and for the new people, one of the hardest things when you get started down this path is there are so many YouTube channels out there. I mean, there are thousands. So to find the right ones, and probably at best it's 50-50. Half of them are okay and half of them aren't. And then, of course, you got your varying degrees in there. It's hard to figure out who do you want to be listening to. That just figuring that out can save you hundreds of hours of research, thousands of hours even, depending on how deep you get into this. Because there's a lot of channels that are just a waste of time. They may sound good at first, but once you kind of get your knowledge built up, you tend to see, oh, wait a minute, this guy is, he's right maybe half the time. And what you'll see a lot of these channels do is they'll do it on purpose. They're angling you. They try and come out as conservatives, but then they're always like needling the president or, getting their digs in to maybe give you second thoughts, right? That's their whole purpose. They're not going to attack directly because then conservatives will just shut them down. If they give you, 60% good and then they're needling the other 40, coming from someone who you believe is a conservative, that can be damaging, more damaging than the ones just flat out oppose everything. So, like if you go to my page, my personal page, and you just look at the stuff that I'm looking at, the articles, the videos I'm posting, and then those people, Red Pill 78 is a good one that Chad just mentioned here. SGT Report, X22, Greg Hunter. There's 50 that we generally will post. I think it's a good idea to have a really broad spectrum of who you listen to, because a lot of them come at this from different perspectives, different angles, depending on what they kind of focus on. Some guys deal with the pedophilia, some guys deal with the swamp, some guys deal with the politics, some guys deal with the geopolitical landscape, some guys deal with the economy, some with religion. Here we try and look at all of it. Look at the big picture, listen to what all those people are saying in their specific fields, and bring it together and not only present what the news is, but more importantly, give you an analysis of what this stuff means. Because again, knowing that, Iran is working on their drone program and that they just found a nuclear lab that the Israelis reported, knowing how that fits in to the scheme of things, does that make any difference to us? Is it something we have to worry about, or are we okay? Knowing how that fits in and how it affects the big picture, and mainly how it affects the big picture to what we're going to see. Because at least for right now, trust, the world's got a lot of problems. But right now, we need to be focused on what we need to do to get ready for the things that we know are coming. Worldwide economic collapse, the swamp draining, and the satanic pedophilia being exposed. Those are the things that are going to rock the world to its core. And psychologically, it's the satanic pedophilia that's probably our greatest danger. And I don't say that meaning that these people are going to be able to evade what's coming. It's the biggest danger because of cognitive dissonance. It's not that they're any threat to us. It's that what they've been doing for the last couple of 100 years and the scope that they've been doing it at, that knowledge of what these people have been doing to our children is what's going to rise, and the scope of it and who these people are. That they're the most powerful, the most famous, the richest people in the world. The Pope, the royal family, former United States presidents, government officials, judges, celebrities, newscasters, CEOs, all involved in the satanic pedophilia, the torture and murder of children. 800,000 kids a year missing in the United States. And that's just the United States. The cognitive dissonance, especially if we get cognitive dissonance, which is going to happen. You're going to have many of your friends, you're going to see it. It's going to be epidemic. If President Trump does the job I think he's going to do, and I'm saying this based on what he's done to this point and how well he's managed this, it's been flawless, then I think we can deal with a cognitive dissonance. But if this thing goes south, then it becomes much tougher, because then the cognitive dissonance is going to even expand. There'll be more people suffering. And many of us that would help are maybe going to be tied up just fending for ourselves, because depending on where you live, if this goes worst case scenario, which we need to prepare for, banks closing, grocery stores running out of food, power going off, communications going down, then, it's a whole different scenario there. And then the cognitive dissonance is at risk of just blowing up. Because then people start to panic. And then it just blows up. It feeds on itself, right? And just, it's like that snowball getting bigger and bigger. I think with the work that a lot of people are doing, like what we're doing here, and trying to get people ahead of the game psychologically and spiritually, probably more important than the physical part of it. You've got to have it all, right? It doesn't do you any good to be mentally and spiritually prepared for this and not have your food and water, and you're in a jam, right? I mean, your head could be on straight, but you still got to eat, and your family's got to eat. So that's why we need to have the whole package. We've got to have everything we need. The food, the water, the medical supplies, the ammo, the physical silver, the Litecoin, the cash. Carbon-60 would be good. Colloidal silver. Filtration device. I mean, there's a big list, and everybody needs to analyze this themselves. And again, feel free to message me if you have any questions about, because there's a lot of factors that come into play here. What your skill set is. Are you a hunter? Were you in the military? All those things can come into play. Do you know how to grow a garden? Do you live in a city? Who's in your group? All those things will determine, what you need to do, what your plan's going to be, what everybody's going to bring to the table. We need to be doing that now, because we just had Bull Pony's now saying that the top of the stock market is going to be the 19th, which is next week. We've got Q saying that arrests are going to start this year. This isn't going to go past the end of the year. And it looks like we are where I've said we were going to be, where that these things would happen within a couple of weeks of each other. And it looks like that's how it's going to play out. If we're talking about the 19th to the end of the month, and then, that the economy goes down, and then the end of the year before and the swamps drain, we're within a couple of weeks of each other. So, as we've been saying the last week plus, we're running out of time, guys. You've got to do these things now. And the physical silver and the Litecoin, here's the way I'd put it. Listen, if I'm wrong, you've got great investments in silver and Litecoin. If I'm right, you just made the rest of your life. Well, you change your life forever, if I'm right. And change your family's life forever. And you've changed, if you're doing, remember guys, I don't charge for this. I don't have a subscription. You go to a lot of these channels and you see, they're all trying to make some money. Either on the clicks or they've got something they're selling. I'm not selling anything. I don't charge anything. I don't accept donations. All that I ask is that anything that you profit from what you learn here, you pay it forward. You take a percentage of it and you do something good. You don't give it to United Way or any of these other phony charities that they take 90% of the money for administration. You take whatever that is, 10%, 15%, 20%, depending on how generous you are, and you put it in somebody's hands, or you do something for someone, so that you can see the impact that has. And trust me, when you start that process, you'll end up doing more and more and more of it as you can financially, because I've said this thing for me has been the hardest thing I've ever done and the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's changed my life. Some people might argue whether it's for the better or not, but it is for the better. And I think all of you, if you're here for a reason. You're here because, there's two reasons for people to be here. And to me, it doesn't make any difference. I'm here to, anybody that wants to listen to this information, I'm here to give it freely. But there's two reasons. Either you want to get information to protect yourself and your family, or you want that information, but then you also want to help spread the word. And I honestly believe if you're a patriot or a Christian, it's our obligation to do this. We're talking about our fellow citizens and fellow Christians who, there's no question, the more you know about what's coming, the better you're going to handle it. And the better prepared you'll have your family to handle it. And again, we have where we can actually get through and red pill someone. And we've got what we call planting seeds, where You may not be getting through completely where they're accepting what you're saying. But when these things are manifesting themselves, and it's happening a lot lately where people are coming back and saying, "Oh my God, what you've been saying is happening." The more that you know about what's coming, the easier this is going to be. And the more people that we get woke up to it. And again, even if it's just planting that seed, at some point it's going to click. And they're going to be better off for having that seed planted, because then it's not going to be as big of a shock, right? And they're going to know where to go to get more information. And that's why I'm saying now too, guys, you got to get rested up, because when this goes within the next few weeks, we're going to be overrun with friends calling and reaching out. Another Zero Head article. World ultra rich are prepping for the market crash. This thing is, it's crazy. How just to see what the market is just even is with all the negative financial reporting going on right now. It's comical to watch this thing. It's a joke. And then going back to the fear porn. There's one today that's basically saying that the Republicans are maybe going to turn on President Trump. Explain how that's going to happen. I'm talking about impeachment now, right? Explain to me. They'd get strung up. I mean, the Republicans would hang them in the streets. How are you going to impeach someone when there's no crime? I mean, read the transcript. This is that people are even these words are coming out of their mouths. It's ridiculous. Turn them off, because it's just, it can't happen. You gotta have some kind of evidence. You've got to have high crimes and misdemeanors, guys. It's just, you can't just not like someone and just, okay, we're going to impeach him. All these guys are doing is they're digging themselves a deeper hole. They're tacking more charges onto their rap, and they don't care, because they know they're already in for treason. That's the only one that makes a difference, right? After that, who cares? Add them on, because it's either just roll over and get convicted and executed, or you fight back and you do whatever you have to do, as crazy as it may seem. Doing something, especially these people, is better than doing nothing, because they know there's no deals here. If you committed treason or you murdered a child, you're going to be executed. And I think it's been made very clear to them. So what's the alternative then? You kick and scream like Schiff and Pelosi all the way to your lethal injection, or however they're going to do it. Hopefully they'll hang them. Either way, the Republicans aren't going to turn on President Trump. They might as well put a gun to their head, commit suicide. You're better off, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and not that some of them wouldn't if there was a inkling there, because remember, a lot of these Republicans are going down too with the swamp. So if they saw an angle where they could make it partially believable, but you know, it takes 2/3 of the Senate. There's 0% chance they get 2/3 of the Senate to impeach President Trump with what's going on right now. There's nothing they have. It's crazy talk. It's fear porn, is all it is. So ignore it. Oh, and then another zero hedge article. The article is, if impeachment fails, well, the elite crash the economy to try and keep President Trump from winning a second term. We've been talking about this for 6 months now. Yes, they will, in a heartbeat. In fact, that's probably, it could be Deutsche Bank, it could be China next week, the trigger for this event, the stock market event. But it's just as likely to be what we said. They arrest Obama or Clinton. They arrest Obama or Clinton, maybe even Brennan or Clapper or Comey. That could be the trigger. Because, well, and I get, it probably would be. Because if they arrest any of the top 25, it's sending a clear signal to the swamp that we're coming for all of you, and we're just going to go up the food chain. And when that happens, that's when they dump it. Because they're not going to wait till you get to the end. They're going to do it at the beginning, right? So, we'll see how it plays out. Let me see, I think. Oh, here's another good one. Stock market's up 200%, right? Illinois pension fund, 75% decline. That's what we've been talking about with 0% interest. That doesn't make any difference about everything else. 0% interest. These pension funds need 8% return just to maintain, right? Well, it's been 0% for 10 years. So for 10 years, these pension funds have been beaten down. And regardless of what everything else was doing, 0% interest, pensions are gone. They're broke, just like the banks are. Okay, let's see what we got for questions. I didn't hear anything else about Deutsche Bank, but they are, again, Deutsche Bank could go down between now and next week. They're on the ropes. But there are 25 other triggers that could do the same thing. So, and they're all close. $1 quadrillion in derivatives worldwide. $1 quadrillion. Deutsche Bank's got 41 trillion in derivatives. It's crazy, guys. Ridiculous that we ever let it get to this point. But the good thing is this has to happen. Economy has to collapse. We can clean these banks out, clean out the stock market. I think the stock market's probably dead. When people find out how badly these people have been cheating the system with insider trading, and they'll never put money in the stock market again. It's all going to go into the crypto market, guys. Yeah, so I already answers Mike's question. Don't worry about any of these legal decisions that are coming in from these lower courts. Don't don't sweat them, guys. Because trust me, when the swamp goes, everything's going to change. Paul is talking about the DA in San Francisco. There's a lot of these guys in California that are going to go down with the swamp. Wait till you see how many of that 140,000 they take out of California, including I think Newsom is going to go. You know, all these clowns, Swalwell, Pelosi, Schiff, Schumer, they're all going down. Feinstein, all these long-term political criminals are going down here really shortly, guys. I hope they're all behind bars by Christmas. I would love for them to spend this Christmas behind bars. Gary is saying to Paul, President Trump is waiting until after the election. I hope you're not talking about the arrest because Q just said the arrests are happening before the end of the year, and I've been saying for months that we are getting to a choke point here, that this can't go till next year. I'll guarantee you right now, this won't go till the election. It can't happen. There's too much out there. And President Trump can't allow it to go. Again, we've talked about this. Because if he tries to string the economy out until the election, the deep state's going to collapse it in August or September. So he can't play that game, even if he wanted to. Rebecca, how are you? Dorothy, hello. Yeah, Chad's talking about Red Pill 78, who's got I think a couple of insiders from Gitmo who say that the geriatric ward is complete, which means it's ready to roll. Because who's the geriatric ward? Pelosi, the Clintons. There's a whole crew of them. Kerry, Biden. Yes, Paula, they are. I mean, Katy Perry was bragging about eating human flesh a year ago. Um, Maybe more than that. They have it's in LA. They have it's like a private club, and what they do, it's not like at a set location like a regular restaurant, right? What they do is they move it around to different houses of these elite pedophiles and have like meals like that, eating human flesh. That's how brazen they are. Kathleen, how you doing? Better late than never. Yeah, deer's a great meat. Lean and free. Yep. Good job, Susan. Keep planting those seeds. Yeah, Kevin's talking about the people that he's been contacting, and here's the other thing, guys. It's when you're making these posts, a lot of times you don't know the impact you're having on them. And I can tell you here in California, in the Bay Area, I know there's a lot of friends or former friends who see my post who I know are taking action, but they don't talk about it much, right? Because they're afraid to. They're intimidated by all the other liberals. That's okay. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Just do it. Just prepare yourself. Because trust me, you're going to have a lot of your liberal friends who are not going to be as smart as you and aren't going to be ready and are going to need help. If this thing, especially if this thing goes worst case scenario. And again, guys, this is not fear porn. I, in my heart, believe that President Trump is on top of this 100%. Here's the most important things. If he keeps the power on and he keeps food in the stores, we will get through this fine. If those things don't happen, if we're out of power and we run out of food and the stores are more than a week without food, then it could get dicey. That's when we can move to the next phase up the ladder. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's ready. I think he's ready with the troops. I think he's ready with martial law. And I think we're going to get through this okay. Now, it's going to be a lot easier on you if you've got the things that we've talked about. So that, okay, maybe the stores are open, but it could get dicey depending on where you live. It's going to be best to probably stay indoors for a little bit if martial law is declared. You know, if you've got enough food and water, you could hunker down for a couple of weeks. You know, if not, I think they'll at least be able to go out and get food. Probably safer to not have to go out. Well, Mike's saying God's hands protecting Israel. I think, more importantly, God's hands protecting President Trump and guiding him. And I believe, based on us electing President Trump and the job that he's doing, basically in the fight against these satanic pedophiles, I think God's protecting America too. That I don't see, you know, they've talked about all these horrible things that are going to happen. We're going to have, you know, California is going to fall into the ocean. We're going to have a 600-foot high tsunami. Everything to Highway 5 is going to be devastated. Yellowstone's going to blow. Going to be nuclear war. We're going to be invaded. There's going to be a civil war. I don't see any of that happen. Don't see any of it. The things we know, what God warned me about, the swamp, the economy, and the pedophilia being exposed. Those are the things. Those are our threats for our safety. Just the banks, it's the same old thing. The banks are insolvent, guys. That's why they've got the repo problem. It's just a matter of when do they run out. And it can't go on much longer because they're printing money like it's going out of style. Leslie, hello. Lisa's saying Dean Foods just filed for bankruptcy. Dairy. We got record closures on retail outlets this year. I mean, just point after point after point after point. Some of the worst economic news we've had in some cases ever. Yeah, keep the electricity on. Um, you know, electricity and gas. If we keep the power on, listen, if the lights go out, there's no water, right? Um, you got no power, you usually don't have any water because the water treatment plants can't pump it. So that could be bad. But here, guys, 50-pound bags of rice, 50-pound bags of beans, um, and start filling your soda containers, your 2 liter bottles, and your gallon milk jugs with tap water. Doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. Well, wait till you see what happens with the Sandy Hook. Um, it's not going to go anywhere, guys. Like I said, all of this stuff goes away when the swamp drains. It's almost all smoke and mirrors. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and we're not going to grow anything now, right, guys? I mean, I think maybe potatoes you might be able to grow now, but for the most part, growing season's over. You're going to have your seeds for next spring. But yeah, we're reaching a lot of people and more every day. Yeah, that's the other thing. Paul is asking about the crops we lost. It was a horrific crop loss this year. I don't know the exact statistics, but there was a good part of the Midwest they couldn't plant because the fields were too muddy in the planting season. They couldn't get the tractors out in the fields, so it's way down. Yeah. Well, so this is a good question. Kathleen's asking, well, if the economy crashes, how do the stores keep supplies, right? Well, martial law is the answer. Is that he's going to have to declare martial law, and then he'll just seize control of everything, and he will make sure that the stores are stocked. Whether he has to use the military or whatever means, he'll make sure it gets done. And trust me, they've already game planned this out. There's already a plan in place. So they, I mean, the one thing you have to be impressed with, especially if you follow you'll understand this, how dead on they've been with their planning. I mean, you'll see stuff that was a year to the date, stuff's happening. A year to the date, they said it was going to happen. So it wasn't in 2018 it was supposed to happen on this particular date. It was 2019. Just amazing. They called McCain's death to the day and called it 30 days early. Um, well, it's because he was executed. But it's amazing the accuracy, the precision of this plan. And that's what makes me believe. There's two things. Number one is I'm not getting any signs that there are any other dangers out there, at least immediate. Um, and then you just look at how things are going. And how they've performed up to this point. Been flawless. Why is that going to change? Because it keeps getting easier for them, guys. You have to remember, every day that goes by, they knock out some more of the deep state assets. They clean more of them out. They get more of them in line for the prosecutions. So we're not going to start going backwards now. This thing has gone too far. There's no stopping this. There's nothing these guys can do that's going to change the course. Yeah, there's all sorts of different ways to go, guys, with your storage methods. Um, I definitely recommend getting on the internet, going to these prepping channels, and doing some research. Everybody needs to do this kind of stuff, especially. You need to tailor it to your family's needs. And that's based on a lot of things. Based, again, on your skill set, where you live, how close you are to a city. All those things come into play. What kind of fresh water do you have near you? I mean, there's a lot to consider here. Okay, I'm not sure about that one. Oh, yeah, if you got a greenhouse, you can grow. Oh, and you can grow potatoes in a 5-gallon bucket. So start looking at all those. There's a lot of great hacks, you guys, about ways to do this kind of stuff. And YouTube is awesome. I mean, I'll tell you, I can't think of anything that I've wanted to do that I knew nothing about that I couldn't find information on YouTube about how to do it. I mean, it's amazing. Um, and there are, God, hundreds, if not thousands, of great prepping sites out there. So do your homework, guys. Okay, that's all the questions I got for tonight. We're almost at an hour, so I think I'm going to wrap it up. Um, Remember, guys, time's short. Don't waste it. You all need to use your heads here and figure out where you're lacking. Maybe you're good on food and water and you need to pick up some cryptos, maybe, and some physical silver. Doesn't make any difference. Whatever your need is, try and get everything done as quickly as possible. Because even though Pony says next week, I wouldn't mind if it was tomorrow, but are you ready? So take whatever time we have left and use it, please. Use it wisely. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are still 1,000% in control. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5. God bless.